The title of my TED Talk analysis is Advocating for a Ketogenic Diet in Cancer. The speaker is Miriam Kalamian. The purpose of the TED Talk is to inform and advocate for the ketogenic way of eating to become an adjunct in treating cancers and other illnesses. Logically, Kalamian references two different credible and searchable studies using the ketogenic diet as treatments for cancer and other illnesses. She even goes as far as to follow up on one of the children in the second study to see how they are doing years later. She also used facts linked to her son's story. I believe a bar graph referencing the two studies that she references would have been helpful as a visual aid to include. I also believe a pie chart illustrating the percentages of the three key macronutrient fats, carbs, and proteins would have been extremely helpful for the audience. Emotionally, you can't hide from cancer. Eventually, it's going to come calling. If not for you personally, then for someone you love. Kalamian's opening statement is a powerful attention grabber on the emotional level of everyone in the audience. Her statement shifts the audience's focus from, "This is her," to "This could happen to me." At the beginning of the talk, we see Kalamian dressed simply and professionally, a way you might see someone who is serious about their topic dressed, which lends to her initial credibility. During the discussion, she speaks with conviction that can be heard in her voice and seen in her body language, especially on her face. Kalamian builds her character credibility using her own personal experience from researching ways to slow and treat her son's brain tumor. Using such a personal experience shows she has no ulterior motives to advocate for the ketogenic way of eating as a treatment adjunct. Later in the discussion, she talks about the degrees she holds, Master of Education and Master of Human Nutrition. She did this while speaking in chronological order of her son's illness. I believe I would have done this as part of my introduction. I do feel her speech could have been organized more clearly. Transitions were not apparent, and it seemed the introduction was somewhat mixed into the body. I had a hard time distinguishing when the introduction was complete and the body had begun. Although the fact that this was such an emotional topic for Kalamian helps with her credibility and effectiveness, I believe it had a negative impact on the organization of her speech. Kalamian does a beautiful job of referencing her introduction during her conclusion, which signaled to me that the speech was drawing to an end. Kalamian invited the audience into her personal life with the story of her son's illness and her journey through it with him. Knowing her passion comes from this makes her relatable. I believe anyone could empathize with her. Kalamian spoke confidently, clearly, and calmly about the topic until the very end when she discussed her losing her son to the battle of brain cancer. Overall, I feel Kalamian was an effective speaker on this topic. There was no doubt that she is an expert in the field of nutrition and an expert in the field of using dietary measures as an adjunct to treating cancer in children, as illustrated by her well-articulated journey with her late son. The raw emotion she holds back during her conclusion can be heard in her voice and left a huge impression on me.